What a wonderful week it's been for us. As usual,
Weather's starting to
weather
cool.
is coming around. So we'd like to start the service with a song called This Is the Day. And if you'd please rise and join with us to bring up the spirit. Reverend Karen's got a good message for us, and she's ready back in the office there. So I'm ready if you're ready.
This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Sing with me. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day, a day to be seized, a day I can feel my spirit set free. Yes, this is the day. It's time to fly higher and higher up in the sky. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day all my dreams come true. Can feel Spirit working its way through. Yes, this is the day. It's time to fly higher and higher up in the sky. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it.
Thank you, Rod.
It's expected.
Good morning. Welcome to West Valley Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Reverend Clyde Goings. I'm the assistant minister here, and I want to welcome you here on this beautiful Sunday morning. And before we get started with the announcements, we've got some quick announcements from the Gourmet from God Goddesses.
I got it. Wrong way.
Thank you, thank you.
You got it.
Good, hello. I'm Julia Honeychild, the Gourmet Goddess, and I'm here joined today with my good friend Lydia Baste Your Own Fish. We're finally going to finish our beautiful beef bourguignon, I think.
You look different today. And I don't see a bottle of wine anywhere.
Yes, I'm trying something new in hopes that it will improve my timing.
Well, I hope it works for you.
I'm sure it will. You know what they say, change your drinking, change your life.
That's right, Julia. And we're going to finish the first part of our favorite fundraiser, Gourmets for God.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? Now, while that's cooking, we're going to do the braised onions to go with the beef. You see, with this kind of a stew, you can do so much ahead of time. If you can get the beef and onions done ahead of time, then all you have to do at the end is the final fixings. Now, these braised onions are something are awfully good served with the stew, or you can serve them just as a plain vegetable with parsley on them, or you can cream them. But this is one of the best ways for cooking them.
Hosting an event is also something you can do. There's still time to grab a form from Home Space, fill it out, and submit it the easy way.
Is that right? Now, to peel onions the easy way, I've got a whole bunch of these peeled onions, I wanted to show you how to do it really quickly. Let's say this pan is boiling water, and you just take all of your onions, put them in the water, and wait for it to come back to a boil again. And then leave them in for about 20 seconds just to loosen the skin. Take them out and peel them.
Hosting an event is a very appealing thing to do. The more events we have, the more fun we get to have throughout the year. Any event will do. Just pick a date and create an event, big or small, and we can make this very recipe with your friends.
Wouldn't that be nice? Hopefully it doesn't take quite as long for you as it has for me. Beef bourguignon is a lovely dish for a party. However, now the onions. We're just going to cook them in a pan like this, and you want to have the pan that will be just big enough to hold them all. You don't want to crowd them. Let them be gentle on themselves. Bring them just to a simmer on top of the stove, and then cover them. I don't seem to have a cover. Oh. This'll do. We'll just pretend that that's it.
We've got you covered for our guest list. Submit your events today because bidding on seats for your events start next week. Late events may not be considered for bidding, so turn them in today before you leave.
You cover them and you keep them on a very slow simmer until they're nice and tender, about 25 minutes. When they're done, you just put them aside. You can do them the night before if you want.
You can't do this the night before. Today is the day. Turn in your donation forms today for the best results.
You sound very serious, Lydia. Sounds like we are almost out of time for your little fundraiser, and we are completely out of time once again for preparing our mushrooms. Out of time again. Oh, forget it. Somebody bring me my wine. Come back. Come back. Come back next week for the finishing touches on these perfectly delicious accompaniments for your beef bourguignon. This is Julia Honeychild. That's all for today on The Gourmet Goddess. See you next time. Bon appetit.
All right, so now's the time to, if you're going to host an event, remember to fill out the event forms and turn them into, email them into Julie, or you can go online, download an event form, and then you can email it in. So she wants to put them all together so we can start our bidding next week, because that is the plan. One of the things I want to just bring up really quickly is, our theme this year has been about rooted in spiritual principles and spiritual practices. And the other day, I take my dog running every couple of days, 3 or 4 days. I run 2 or 3 miles through our neighborhood, and I love the run. And I was thinking about it, and a spiritual practice. If someone's doing yoga, they always say, go back to your mat if you need to get recentered. Go back to your mat if you need to get, clear your mind. And I was thinking about that, and when I was running, and I was like, I don't have a mat. I have a road, right? And so when I go running on my neighborhood, when I'm done with that run, I am recentered every single time, and I just love it. So my question to you is, what is your spiritual practice that helps you get recentered? Because there's, we all need that from time to time. So just be thinking about that. All right, so just a couple of announcements. So the drumming, I've heard some conversations going on around it. So Reverend Susan is back to be doing the drumming, and so we're trying to get that finalized and get that back up and running again. And then next week is our sound bowl healing is on. It's always going to be the fourth Sunday of the month. And so if you have not experienced it, please come and join us and experience it. If you have, bring a guest and let them experience it, because it is a beautiful experience. So please join us for that as well. All right, so that's all of our announcements. And so now is time to get ourselves centered and ready for Reverend Karen's beautiful message. but we're going to say the visioning statement first. Thank you, Kendra. Kendra's back there doing cartwheels. You can't see her back there. All right, so let's say our visioning statement together. We are a loving, joy-filled community, honoring the many paths to God as we learn and live the Science of Mind principles. And so it is. So just take a deep breath, relax into your chairs, into this beautiful space, open your hearts and minds for the Bradford's beautiful music and Reverend Karen's wonderful message. Thank you.
So just take a deep breath and relax as we move within.
I will make a quiet place within my heart. I will wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will make a quiet place within my mind. I will wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will make a quiet place within my life.
And
I will wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place.
And here, in this quiet place, I know that there is but one life present everywhere, and I must be in that life and of it, and it must flow through me. It must be what I am, therefore I accept this omnipresence as something real, definite, immediate. At the very center of my own being, I realize the divine presence. At the center of my own consciousness, I recognize transcendent principle, forever renewing my being, a divine presence forever animating, sustaining, vitalizing, recreating, a divine consciousness forever guiding, directing, inspiring. There is within me that which knows what to do and compels me to act in accordance with law and order, and its complete peace. This I accept and I affirm, and I know that this omnipresence is alive and well in me and in each and every one of us. I know that this presence is the power that guides and directs our every thought, word, and deed, and that this service today is indeed a part of that divine presence. It is a perfect idea in the mind of God, therefore it must unfold accordingly. And I know that Reverend Karen is divinely guided and directed, that her words are inspiring and lift us and shift us and allow us to stop and to look and to think differently about ourselves and the world around us, because she is listening to that divine omnipresence within her as well. The Bradford's music lifts us as always and allows our hearts to soar and to feel things beyond our wildest imaginings. So I give thanks for each and every person who is here in this room, who is watching, and who is watching at some point in the future. So I release our time together out into that beautiful synchronicity and synergy of both love and law, knowing that the universe has already said yes, and so it is. So my reading today is from A New Design for Living. It says, so in our own growth, spiritually and in the fuller experience of life itself, we are in a certain sense like an artist setting up our canvas to paint a new scene. The basic colors and pigments, the canvas, the easel, the brushes, will be the ones we used yesterday. But who knows what new picture will be precipitated upon the canvas through our creative imagination? Who knows what inspiration will flow through us to accomplish something new and different? Thus, every moment is a fresh starting point, unconditioned by anything that has ever existed. Something beyond is being born here. The continuing challenge is to increase our knowledge of the infinite potential which lies ahead of us and ever increases and reveals that more is available to be known. To realize that an infinite artist, the divine creator, the cosmic reality, is back of, in, and through all of our acts. It realizes the truth which enables us to enter with joy and enthusiasm into the day we live. Each day is a new creation, a new moment for a fuller awareness of spiritual reality, and a time for designing a new life we want to live is now. So it is.
Everything is beautiful in its own way,
Like a starry summer night, a snow-covered winter's day. Everybody's beautiful in their own way. Under God's heaven, the world's gonna find a way. There is none so blind as he who will not see. We must not close our minds and let our thoughts be free.
For every hour that passes by, you know the world gets a little older. It's time to realize that beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. Everything is beautiful, sing with us, in its own way. Like the starry summer night, a snow-covered winter's day. Everybody's beautiful in their own way. Under God's heaven, the world's gonna find a way. We shouldn't care about the length of his hair or the color of his skin. Don't worry about what shows from without, but the love that lives within. gonna get it all together. Everything's gonna work out fine. Just take a look at the good side, my friend, and work it out in your mind. Everything is beautiful in its own way, like a starry summer night, a snow-covered winter's day. Everybody's beautiful in their own way. Under God's heaven, the world's gonna find a way. Under God's heaven, the world's gonna find the way.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the West Valley Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Karen Rice, and I want to learn how to say beef bourguignon in the way that Julia Honeychild says it. That was really funny. You guys trying to fit in for Juliana, who really thinks she's Julia Child. I'm pretty sure she kind of is, isn't she? I know. I was thinking she should do a Gourmet for God where she just teaches people how to cook, because she knows a little bit about everything in the kitchen. She's amazing. But well done, Phoenix and Jillian did good job in trying to fill those beef bourguignon. Today I am. I actually don't know how I made it here today. I had a really hard week. Do you ever just have a really hard week where it feels like life's against you? And I was disturbed all week by what unfolded last week, and it kind of got the best of me. And I started, I just kind of had the poor me's, like, how am I going to get up there and stand on that platform and give a message when the world is so topsy-turvy, and I personally have nothing new to tell you. I've done this so many times. I've said everything in the world I know already. And yet I knew, because I was feeling a little I was feeling hurt. I knew I had to get back on the horse, although I'll tell you, I was really close a couple times this week to calling both of these ministers and saying, help, you got to do it. I just can't do it. I need a week off again. And I just had 2 weeks off, so that's kind of funny. So instead, I did the next best thing. I wrote 2 talks. One is probably one you don't want to hear, and the other one is one that must be given, because now we're out of time. I can't write a third talk. Now you have to hear something that I played with. And so my idea was, because I was feeling kind of feisty, that I would write 2 talks. And by the way, I prepared both of these talks. I even rehearsed both of these talks in the mirror. I got up an hour earlier than I usually do. This morning I was up at 2:45. Because I felt dedicated to, okay, this is real. And I was going to let you choose which talk I gave. And then I decided I couldn't do that. Oh, no, that would have been the right choice, because that's the one I finally decided on. And so this little piece of work is not to be given. And so everything I'm going to say could have been a little bit different, but it's not. It is what it is. Because Minister had a meltdown this week, and she's doing it her way. To make matters worse, the title of my message is Revealers of Truth. So there's truth, and there's truth, and then there's everything I'm about to say, and we'll see what you do with it. The crisis for me has to do with the way we are living in such uncertain times. And I, like every other minister, am scrambling to try and figure out the best approach to how to deal with, how to do what we do and to not step on toes, but to say things and to try and keep our chins up and stand in principle and speak to what we believe. And sometimes it just feels like nobody wants to hear that much anymore, even though I think there's still worthiness in my efforts. What I do know is that uncertain times are the perfect call to faith. Because when you surrender into not knowing, that's when you lean into your faith. And so I do feel really, really blessed that I can do that when I'm walking through what feels like a very dark time for me. And it's, I'm just personalizing, get this, nothing horrible happened in my life. I'm just personalizing my side of living alive in these tumultuous times. And fortunately, I am blessed because I am surrounded by people that will be honest with me and bring me information, almost as though it's a God assignment, and that I can trust them, and that I actually feel like my heart and my love has expanded, even though I'm still kind of licking my wounds. So it doesn't matter what happened to me. What I want to do is start with a story. I would have given you another one, but it's down there on the floor, so you get this story. And what I have done, this story is actually a little more risky than the other one, is that I have personalized this story. This is an old story that I have told from the platform at least one other time in this church, this congregation, or this spiritual community. And I have told it in other places too. You may even recognize it because it's kind of a classic for ministers. But I have personalized it to make it a little more spiffy. It's a story about a great sage, a woman that was known all across the land for her profound wisdom and her brilliant use of illustrations to teach spiritual ideas. She spoke of many things like horse manure and imaginary spiders in kitchens, and she even dared to wear white after Labor Day. Many people listened to her even from afar, from many states across these United States. And they all wanted to be close to her to hear that spider wisdom and to glimpse her passion, which occasionally gets her in trouble. One day, this sagey wise woman humbly told her students this. She said, "I have a confession to make. I always try to tell the truth, but a wizard has put a spell on me. And that spell brings with it some things that are good and some things that are not so good. Now, the good news is that half of what I tell you is the absolute truth. It is direct from the mouth of God, and I know this to be true. If you grasp that wisdom, and if you put it into practice in your life will change in miraculous ways, I have no doubt whatsoever, and you will experience great happiness. However, the bad news is that the other half of what I tell you is pure illusion and gross distortions of truth. And if you follow that guidance, it will not change you for the best. My dilemma, dear friends, is that I don't know which is which." Have you heard that one before? Not quite that spicy, I know. Not quite like that, I know. Because we don't know which is which, and because I don't really know everything I'm about to say, I want you to listen very carefully. Because half of what I say will be useful, and it's guaranteed there's a half of what I'm going to say that's not applicable to you personally. But more than that, because we are all revealers of truth, you can only hear what you can hear from your perspective and your biases, in the same way that I can only hear and come to understand things in my life from my biases. And so I chose this talk, Revealers of Truth. Oh, I just rolled my eyes when I saw that was coming up. Thank you, Rod, for informing us. It is World Peace Day. That helps anchor me a little bit to know that. People are praying like crazy for peace today, and so I can feel that peace inside of me, even though it's been a weird and frustrating week. But I got that talk title, Revealers of Truth, from a quote by Walt Whitman. Walt Whitman said, short and sweet, "You are the truth that is hidden in all things." You are the truth that is hidden in all things. And so the first time I read that, and when I was choosing this as a talk title and thinking what direction I would go, I thought, well, that fits right in with everything we teach right here in this setting, because we understand that I heard it as Whitman is it's like a prayer to God, and God, and he's saying to God that you, Lord, you're the truth, and you're just a little bit of you is everywhere. But then when I sat down to write both of these talks, I did a little research, and I realized that that is not the way that line is translated and interpreted. The great expert literary critics actually suggest that Whitman used those lines, and he was speaking to humanity, not God. He was speaking to humanity as a revealer of truth. He was speaking and saying, you know, that there is truth everywhere. Our job is to find it. He was speaking to the way that there is divinity even in ourselves. There is something perfect and beautiful about us at the core of our being, the way in which we are created. And that life then sort of becomes that process of uncovering that beautiful truth. So what we know is that Whitman, like many poets and philosophers of his day, was really able to, and like poets and artists of this day, they're able to see that connection between nature and humanity, and that thread of divinity in all of life that allows us to see there's a union, there's a oneness, there is a wholeness that connects all of us. Holmes said it this way commonly, and you have heard me say this. I have said this more than 900 times in a weekly message. You can probably guess which, it's not horse manure. Holmes said, there is a power for good in the universe. There is this magnificent presence and power everywhere. It is a power for good, and you can use it. And I love that line, and I try and say it in some way in every class I teach, and every time I'm up here on a Sunday, I'll play with it in yet another way so that we can just begin to embody it. It's just a natural part of our faith, that no matter what we see going on, we know there's a power and a presence greater than we are, and we can use it, we can call on it, we can align to it, we can open to it and become aware of it. So Dr. Holmes very much appreciated the work of Walt Whitman. Dr. Holmes appreciated many of the poets and the philosophers and the wise psychologists that were releasing work in those early days of such studies. He quoted T.S. Eliot and Ralph Waldo Emerson and Walt Whitman, either both in the written word and when he would be lecturing. So these are people that are mentioned in our teaching again and again because they spoke of the universal truths. that align to all the principles that we have packaged into a teaching and a philosophy. But what I haven't told you yet is how the very next line of that poem went. So Walt Whitman said, "You are the truth hidden in all things," and then he said these fabulous words. "If that be so, then I pray to be a revealer." If it is true that divine perfection is hidden absolutely everywhere, including in us, then we can choose to reveal that divinity, and we can choose to spot it in each other. Because when I see it in you, I call it forward so that there is more of that on this planet. You can't go wrong in that way. It's how we help each other. So as a minister, and my colleagues, my ministerial colleagues I know will agree with this, we are always praying to be revealers of truth. We always desire for people to become conscious of the truth of their being so that you will know the almighty presence of God is in you and guiding you and yours to access and use. And then we have other things that help us remember we are revealers of truth. Not only the truth within ourselves, but the way we see the truth in you. And my favorite quote I have taken, one of my many favorite quotes I've taken from the great mystic Christian Emma Curtis Hopkins, who said, and I'm going to shorten it, she just prayed and said, "Lord, show me the way to make the world glad and sane." Oh, I have loved those words long before I had a judgment about the world being as crazy as it felt to me this past week, I'll tell you. So what I know and what every minister comes to know is that we are not the revealers. I'm not revealing anything at all to you. I am pointing to the light. I'm pointing to the wisdom. I'm holding the torch, the divine light, the divine illumination, and my desire is that will then help others find their way to their truth. Because remember, you know, I actually wrote a line I forgot to say to you. I wrote at the beginning of my talk, I wrote in this version of my talk, I wrote, I am giving, this might be the most important talk, this might be the most important half-truth I've ever spoken. So somewhere in here is a little something, but you're going to have to hunt for it. You are your own revealer, and so my job is to keep my commitment. My job is to get back on the horse when I feel like I don't want to get back on the horse, and hold the torch some more and figure out what needs to be said this day. Ultimately, we all find our own truth. But here's what I think. I don't think it's like we wake up and we know the truth. I think that as we live through our experiences, we gather pieces of it. In fact, we offer gifts of it to other people, even when things are a little clunky and not comfortable. Everything is a compass that sends us back to remembering there is a divine truth that we can tap into. So we collect our pieces and we look for the substance of what truth means to us. And in that process, we're creating our own story of life. So at least half of what we know, that we know is true, at least half of it is woven with these strong, gorgeous fibers of divine truth. And that should encourage all of us. We can't know everything, right? And so I fell into a delusion last week, and I began to try and convince myself. Thank God my colleagues that I spoke to did not go into sympathetic agreement with me. But I began to really believe that nobody really wants the light right now, that nobody really wants that. And it's getting easier to believe that based on the stories we hear. The church attendance around the globe is, why come when you can sit at home? And so everything is changing. And in my feeling sorry, in my pity party, that all by myself, I began to feel like maybe ministry is a fading profession. Got AI, why do you need a minister? So I take these ways that I question my own reality, and I give it to God, because that's what I know how to do. In uncertain times, I then have to call on my faith, because that is the only thing that will help me, and the faith is the best direction we could possibly go in. So I take my questions, and I then begin to slowly work toward clarification, toward clarity, toward restoring my own equilibrium, my own sense of balance, so that we can continue to do this together. Now, it's interesting to me that most churches, most non-New Thought churches. In New Thought, we do it so differently that I think it's probably a little easier for us than it is for a regular ministers and rabbis and whatnot. But we do not, I mentioned this last week too, we do not teach of a harsh, punishing, angry God that lets some people suffer and hears the prayers of other people. We just do not promote that understanding in any way. What we know is that Jesus showed up on the scene, had a very short ministry as powerful leaders, as it happens sometimes. And in that short period of time, he tried to bring an entirely new order of thought to anybody that would listen. And he must have done a good job, because people followed him, and they liked the miracles too. And he taught people, he said bizarre things like, "The Father and I are one." You know, it's the beginning of understanding that praying to a God that is far away and separate from us is that worked for a while. And now there's this new way of conceiving and defining what God is. And God is closer to us than that. And so he can begin to embody some ideas that even still most of the world doesn't understand, or doesn't, they do not join us in looking at that concept of the innermost God, the God within, the place, knowing that heaven is here now within us. So our Science of Mind ministers, and we have several in the room, we have all been trained to teach spiritual principle. We have been trained to teach the creative process of life, how life gets to be the way it is, and what you can do about it, how we can change our mind. Oh God, that was a funny line. Change our drinking. That was such a funny line. We are trained in how to teach affirmative prayer, and we train people to understand that as you change your mind and you make higher choices, that you have better outcomes and experiences in your life and all of that. And so we are revealers of truth in those ways. We have a real solid foundation in spiritual principle, and this is an easy philosophy to embody. The hard part is nobody really is standing up here bossing you around and telling you what to think or believe, right? We are pointing to the light. So I love that idea, because it's a bit more holistic. Now, I learned something about Walt Whitman this week that I didn't know. Perhaps you knew this. First of all, I somehow never realized Walt Whitman and Ralph Waldo Emerson were very close, good friends. Emerson read Leaves of Grass and reached out to Whitman and said, "Oh my God, that was fabulous. Let's talk. Let's have coffee or something." And then they become fast friends. But by 1860, I believe, 1860, Whitman, very close to Emerson in a friendship, reveals to Emerson that he is going to release his third edition of Leaves of Grass, and he allowed Emerson to read it before he released it, before he sent it to be published. And Emerson was concerned because in that third edition, Walt Whitman wrote a poem. He is a poet. He wrote a poem, and he revealed his homosexuality. And Emerson was very frightened that it would ruin Walt Whitman's life. So they go on a walk. It's all recorded because Whitman came home from the walk. It was several hours long, and Whitman wrote about it. He journaled about it because it was such a disturbing conversation for him personally. And what's really interesting to me is that Ralph Waldo Emerson, if we know anything about Emerson, what we know is he emphasized that each of us must stand in our own integrity no matter what. And there he was, just being a human, being a little codependent or something, trying to save his friend from what he thought would be a certain end to his career. But Whitman wrote this in his journal, and the reason we know this is because his journal was published after he died. Gosh, you might learn a lot of things about me after I die. It's a little scary. He said, "I listened for 2 hours. For 2 hours, I quietly listened without saying a word. And after 2 hours, I was more certain than ever that I had to publish that book." They were not close. They remained friends, but their friendship was damaged and they kind of went their own ways. And, Walt Whitman went on to... that's not the first thing I think of when I think of Walt Whitman. So we're speaking about some of those hard things we go through. I know that I struggled. I don't want to be on the platform this week. It sounds too hard. And I got myself kind of in a corner by some of the things that I spoke about last week. And then I did what I do, and I went to God, and I sat still, and I prayed about all of this. And what I realize is there's such a gift in listening in that inward way. There is such a gift. So I listened and I prayed and I journaled and I waited for guidance, and I realized that the clarity that I needed came when I realized that each of us, and I really realized, it's not like I didn't know this, but it's like I realized it at a time when I needed to realize this. You might say it's a place in my own growth. I realized that we are all responsible for our own beliefs, and they are not right or wrong beliefs. And so, of course, we only hear half-truth half the time. We only speak truth. Emerson used to say, was it Emerson or, actually it might have been Whitman, who said, if I contradict myself, very well then, I contradict myself. And then you move on and you just go with whatever that new thought. Because I'm different today than I was yesterday, I think is how the quote goes. So when you are willing to ask the hard questions like I have been dancing with all week, you begin to get profound clarity. I feel like I've been getting clearer and clearer. And that my job is, I really get it. I need to carry the torch. I need to shine the light. In fact, one of the thoughts that moved through me was maybe it doesn't even matter what I say. It just matters that I show up. It just matters that I remember, I bring that light, I carry that love, and that I care. I don't have control over, I guess I thought I might have, I don't know, I'm confused. But if you look to God for truth, you will find truth, and nothing else then should matter. That's a little hard for us because we're kind of attached to whatever it is we think is the truth and probably the only truth. But if you really open yourself to look for truth, to see the divinity, to look for goodness even in these difficult times, to be able to laugh, I think mourning the loss of a loved one is such a good example. It's so painful, and then all of a sudden you're sitting in a circle of people and somebody will make a very inappropriate joke out of nervousness, and then everybody laughs. And so that laughter is like a gift from God. It's like the way we can breathe again. And I think we need a little more of that. So I want to close by telling you another story. I'm going to end with a story. And this one comes from Rabbi Baal Shem Tov, who was born in 1690 something and was a rabbi in the early 1700s. And he was a very well-respected spiritual leader. He is considered to be the founder of the Hasidic sect of Judaism. He was a Jewish mystic, and he was a profound healer. So people adored him. And it is said that when Rabbi Baal Shem Tov saw misfortune threatening the Jews, that he would go to a certain part of the forest and meditate. He would light a fire. He would say a very specific prayer. And when he did all those things in that order, miraculous things happened, and the people were saved yet again. And so this went on. This was his routine. When things got very tough, or he was concerned for the well-being of the Jewish people, he would find that place in the forest. He would meditate. He would light a fire. He would say that prayer, and he would witness that things would change. His life passes, and he has a successor. There's another rabbi now that's leading the people, and he attempts to follow this example that Rabbi Baal Shem Tov set for them to follow. When trouble would come, he would go to that very same place in the forest, and he would pray. And this is how he prayed. He said, "Master of the universe, I do not know how to light the fire, but I am still able to say the prayer." And again, a miracle occurred. And another generation passes, and now there's another leader, and this time the rabbi's leading the people, and in order to save them from the bad things that would occur to them, he would go to the forest and he would say to God, "I don't know how to light the fire. I don't know the prayer, but I know this place, and this must be enough. This must be sufficient." And once again, a miracle occurred. And then more time passes, and finally the next rabbi comes, and he sees that the people are in need. And he sat in his home, in his armchair at home. And in that beautiful Jewish way, I can just so envision, he put his head in his hands. And he spoke to God. And he said, "I'm not able to light the fire. I don't know the prayer. I can't even find the place in the forest. All I can do is tell this story, and it has to be enough." And it was enough. This week I have held my hands to my head and talked to God a lot. And I have humbly confessed to God and everybody that all I can do is tell you my story. And I can trust that at least half of what I'm saying is absolutely true directly from God. And I can trust that at least half of what you hear will be true for you too. And I know then that that will be enough. There's a single meeting place. And I think that single meeting, that universal meeting place where all of us can come together and experience that connection, and I think it's the golden rule. And I want to tell you that Jesus wasn't the first person to speak the words or the ideas of the golden rule, that the golden rule is far more universal. And in the way that Jesus said it, it's like we must love God with our whole heart and our whole soul and our whole being, but we must also love each other. We must find a way to love each other and forgive each other and have compassion. Do unto others as you would like others to do unto you. This is the theory of the golden rule, but I read this week that at the core of all of it, that nearly every religion, every spiritual tradition, even every secular ethical tradition has their very own version of the golden rule. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a workshop. I have big ideas about it right now. And hopefully before the end of the year, we'll have, maybe it'll be a Sunday after service so that it'll be easy for lots of people to attend. But I'm going to help you find your own golden rule that is 100% your truth. Because I think if we knew our golden rule and we could stand in our own integrity and we could withstand the conversations like Emerson and Whitman having a disagreement with and beloved to each other, if we could learn to practice that golden rule, I think the world will then ripple out and we can see that World Peace Day has a much larger meaning than just remedies to the problems we think that we're witnessing. Meanwhile, I will be here shining my light, holding the light, so that I can use that light for myself and so that all of us together can learn to continue expanding our ability to perceive truth. And I know it will be enough. Thank you. Isn't it lovely that you can hear the pace of the breath beginning to change? As we step away from anything that's scripted, and we just allow ourselves to move to that deep center, that sacred inward place where God abides always and in all ways. I feel that love of God right now, right here in this sanctuary, and yet I know that the activity of love within us is stimulating in each person hearing the vibration of these words. That it matters not if we're sitting in our armchair in our room, if we're out in the forest in the sacred place, or we're sitting in the walls of this sanctuary. That these words of prayer are powerful, for we acknowledge that there is no place where God is not. There is no way that God could be limited or constrained or held back. That the fullness of God as this divine essence of love, the greatest force in the universe, This is everywhere present. So I feel that love, and I allow something to quicken within me to cleanse the darkness that I have felt this week, to help others be cleansed of that same sense of disconnect, so that we might be here now in this moment, one with God, one with each other, connected eternally, held together by these divinely woven threads of truth. So I know, as we acknowledge the truth of our being, that everybody has ups and downs, that life is awkward and looks clumsy as we look at the appearances, but we remember what the great teacher said, judge not by appearance. And we gently return ourselves to the fullness of truth, to the golden rule and the way in which we personally interpret it and understand it. And this does something in our being that expands the cells of our body, that expands the thoughts in our mind, that brings the divinity to the forefront of all truth, so that we can sense that connection, that we can allow Spirit to fill us with the grace that we ache for, that we long for, that we desire to be able to know. And in this way, we call that divine light within us to be sparken to life yet again. We fan the flame of truth so that we can walk with our heads held high in the glory of God. And we know that in this way, we are not only healing our own confusion, our own lack of clarity, we are healing each other, because we are making the way brighter every time we allow God's grace to cleanse us, to wash over us, to sparken us from the inside so that we can brilliantly shine. We have made life a little bit better. So I am grateful. I praise God. I'm grateful to know that there are ways that we can be restored to truth, that we can return to love, that we can remember yet again only love is real. And I carry this closely, feel it in my being, and I know that I am uplifted, and therefore these are uplifting words that can inspire each and every one of us. I imagine it to be the breath of God breathing us, kissing us into life yet again. So I say thank you, God. And I release the words of this prayer into the law, knowing it is absolutely done. And together we say, and so it is. Amen.
Grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. Everywhere I look and every face I see is love reflected, shining back to me. I just give thanks for all these simple things, the joy and peace that gratitude brings. That's why I'm grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have.
All right, we are grateful for the day that we are having today. So now is the time to celebrate the abundance of our lives and the abundance of our community. Just want to remind you that we have our tithe donation box in the back of the room on the way to Papke Hall, out in the bookstore. So we do appreciate all of your tithes, your donations that support our community. And if you would like prayer after service, Reverend Sue is available right after service for prayer. If you would come right up to the front here, and she will pray with you. Or you can drop a prayer in the prayer request box. So now let's say our giving affirmation together. I live in a consciousness of good. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is.
Please rise for our last song. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. I ain't thinking about my problems. I'm living now. I'm living now. And I ain't gonna worry about the future. I'm living now. I'm living now. So put your hands up if you feel like having a good time. Put your hands up if you're sharing love with all. And raise your cup if you're hopeful for tomorrow. Put your hands up if you're ready to have some fun. And sing it. It feels so good to be alive. It feels so good to be alive. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live. It feels so good to be alive. It feels so good to be alive. One more time. It feels so good to be alive.
Yes, it does feel good to be alive. So let's say our closing affirmation together. Repeat after me. I am a revealer of truth. And my light illuminates the world. And so it is.